This Amateur Radio Roundtable is brought to you in part by ICOM America. Okay, welcome to everybody watching Amateur Radio Roundtable. Today is April 25th. Boy, the month is just flying by. It's going to be time to head to Dayton here in about 3.5 weeks for us. We had a little problem yesterday. We were checking out the backup gear we were going to take to Dayton, the backup encoder and computer, and while we were doing that, the main computer that we run the show on, somebody must have snuck in because it said the operating system was missing. So anyway, we're running on backup tonight, so that's the one reason that we were adjusting audio there with WBCQ. We want to say hi to all of our listeners out there on WBCQ International Shortwave Station on 5130 kilohertz out of Monticello, Maine. If you're listening out there, you can join us on the internet. If you have an internet connection, you can go to w5kub.com, join us, and hey, please send us a signal report to Tom at w5kub.com. We'd love to hear from you. And again, I'd like to just have everyone, all the hams that have tuned in, if you will, up in the menu bar at the top of the page where it says Facebook. Please join our Facebook group. It's for our broadcast. It's a good ham radio place that you can just talk ham radio, but you can also see what's coming up on the show. I think we got a good show lined up tonight. We got 3 or 4 things. It's going to be pretty busy, so we'll try to keep it on schedule. Kathy is not here tonight. She has gone to her Dayton. I'll turn the audio down just a little bit. Kathy has gone to her equivalent of Dayton. It's a sewing convention in Paducah, Kentucky, and they make Dayton look kind of small. They have 50,000 people that attend this convention up in Paducah, and so I'm running the thing by myself tonight, so I'm going to look like I'm not paying attention to some people sometimes, but you know, that's the way it goes when you are chief cook and bottle washer. All right, so I hope the audio, I'll try to listen and watch the chat room. If I need to make any adjustments on the audio, I'll do that, and we'll try to get this right. We had to swap out all the equipment and all the different interfaces today to get the show going, so probably things aren't adjusted quite right, but I think we're getting much better there. So first of all, let me just say hi to Katie, and let me find Katie. I know she's here. Oh, there's Katie. Hey, Katie, how you doing?
Hi, Tom. I'm doing quite well, other than being a little cold out here. We got nailed with a spring snowstorm out here in Wyoming. Started last night, and about 3 o'clock this afternoon, I went out and decided to shovel the driveway and moved anywhere from 6 to 12 inches of snow, including about 2 inches of ice at the bottom of it. And it's still snowing out there a little bit.
Wow. Go
figure.
That's wow. I mean, that's hard to believe. It's late. It's still snowing out there, and I hear it's getting kind of deep out there. So maybe it'll turn springtime for you soon, and you know, you'll get away from the snow. I don't know.
I hope so. Yeah, we had beautiful weather over the weekend, and on Sunday we drove up to the top of the mountain and had a beautiful clear view out to Devil's Tower, and it was just a beautiful day. You know, short sleeve shirts, and then today, you know, bundled up like Nanook of the North once again. But I've seen snow. I've lived here coming up on 9 years, and I've seen snow in every month except for August. So
man.
Here we are. That's what it is. But it's a trade-off for living in such a beautiful place.
Yeah. Well, I know tonight we've got a special guest in here, Rich Moison, W2VU, the editor of CQ Magazine. And Katie, why don't you see if you can bring Rich in, and I'll see if I can find the right buttons here. Go ahead.
That sounds good. All right. Well, I know we had a little technical difficulty, but I can see you, Rich, so I think we're good to go now, right?
I think so. Yep. I lost
there you are.
For a while, but then figured out how to get back. But don't ask me how to do it again.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Mine kept cropping up with some weird thing as well, so I just kept ignoring it. But, well, it's nice to have you join us again tonight. You and, of course, the lovely Mr. Dougal there on your lap. You can't have a ham shack without a cat as far as I'm concerned. So So tell us what's new, what's coming up in this month's issue of CQ. We're excited to hear about it. April's issue I'm still reading through, but a lot of great articles, so I'm excited to hear what May's all about.
Well, of course, in April we had the single sideband results of the CQ Worldwide DX contest, and we followed that up in May with the CW results. And here's the cover for anyone interested.
Pretty.
We've got one station from, where are they? That's Papa 40, I'm sorry, PJ4A, down in Bonaire, and some scouts in Belize. So we have a worldwide focus, as usual, for our worldwide contests. The rest, back of the cover is, or the main part of the cover, is some of the ham notebooks of our ham notebook editor, Wayne Yoshida, AH6WZ. And he's got tips on workbench helpers, one of which, of course, is keeping notebooks and keeping notes. So we figured that would make a nice, fun cover, a little different from usual. We have really, really fascinating story in here to start us off. David Fordham, KD9LA, is a professor, and you can tell by just the way he gets things together, and it makes everything hooked together and fascinating. He has done a history piece that connects the name of one of our major manufacturers with the Pilgrims, the origins of Wall Street, and Henry VIII, and of the first Dutch trading arrangements with Japan back in the 1600s. Really fascinating story, and ties it all into the name of one of our major equipment manufacturers.
Sounds like that's going to be a fun read.
Yeah, it will. It's a little on the long side for our stories, but and he said to me, well, if you need to shorten it up, just find, trim stuff out. And I'm usually pretty good at that. I said, I don't see anything here to trim. It's all too fascinating. So that is a great story. We've got, of course, the CQ Worldwide DX results. Sherlock Holmes has returned, as he's been in here in a couple of recent issues. He's investigating a case of transmitter identity. Very, very interesting piece on helping to track unidentified transmitters via the fingerprints that they would leave. Every transmitter has unique fingerprints on its key up, just like people have unique fingerprints. Every transmitter keys up with a slightly different picture on an oscilloscope screen, and you can collect a series of pictures of different transmitter key ups and then try to match up an unidentified one with one that you have in your files to see the source of your unidentified QSOs. So that's really
that's
amazing.
Really I didn't even know you could do such a thing. That'll be a good one to check out too. Is that something that someone would use when they're trying to identify when you're trying to identify someone who's transmitting illegally, where I know people will go out and I've heard the term triangulate before. Is that kind of what that is?
Well, it's a combination of things. You can do it to try to track down somebody who's jamming on a repeater or something like that.
Oh, okay.
But also more innocent stuff. If somebody's a key down that's timing out a repeater, and somebody doesn't realize that their transmitter is on, you can use it to match it up with the transmitter if you have a record of different transmitters and what their signatures are. So, really interesting possibilities. Another really interesting one is a piece on remote radios and the law. Operating remotely is becoming very, very popular these days, and you run into some interesting legal questions, particularly when you're crossing national boundaries. If you're in one country and your station is in a different country, it gets rather complicated because you have to observe the rules of both countries and the rules of whether a third-party operation is permitted, and sometimes it varies based on how you're operating. Are you operating as a guest operator at someone else's station? Are you the control operator of that station? And our two authors on that get into all those questions that you need to be aware of and to answer to make sure that your operation is legal.
Wow. That sounds good too, because there's so many different, now, like you said, so many people are using remote operations in different ways, but never really thought about the logistics if you're using a transmitter in an entirely different country, or and then following, so then you're really not only worrying about your rules, but their rules and what have you. So that's kind of, who's the author of that article?
It's two authors, Jim Milner, WB2REM, who's written for us before, sure, and Gene Hinkle, K5 Papa Alpha.
Oh, great.
So
super. Wow. I assume you got there must be a kit building in there from Joe this month,
too. Of course
there's
a kit building from Joe. It's down here in my stack someplace. But before I get to that, from Joe's November kit building column, he once wrote about heck kits, and I've just built one of their SWR meters and frequency counters. It's kind of a poor man's spectrum analyzer, because one of the things you can do with it is, if you're using a multi-band antenna, you can tune through the frequencies and find the low spots of your SWR, the resonant points on your antenna, as you go through. So you can do interesting things with that. So I know I had... What is kit building this month? I thought I had pulled it out. It is. I have to do silly things like look at the table of contents. A second dip and a filter. In April, Joe wrote about building a dip meter, and he's got more on that, and also on a filter project. And we've got a couple of other construction-related things and digital connection. We've talked about Raspberry Pis and Pi Gates. We mentioned Wayne's Workbench Helpers column, and there was one other. We've got projects all over the place here. Learning curve, measuring inductance and capacitance with the LC100A meter. So that's a look at some of our technical stuff. We of course have operating stuff, and being the May issue, we have the CQWPX CW contest on Memorial Weekend, and our contesting editor Dave Siddall, K3ZJ, has tips for succeeding in the CW contest. If you're not a contesting big gun, these ways to have fun and get a lot of good contacts. One other thing I wanted to shamelessly promote is our new book, Dits and Das, the ABCs of Rating, by Ed Tobias, KR3E. And that's just been out for a month or so, and doing very, very well. And really, really excellent book. And I would recommend it for both experienced CW operators who are looking for some tips to improve their skills, or for people who are just interested in beginning to learn about operating Morse code. It's a good resource.
Awesome. Hey, I just had a couple of quick questions that came through on the chat room. Someone was interested, if they were to subscribe online now, because I mentioned that if you subscribe, you get it in your inbox, the electronic version on the first of the month. If someone were to subscribe now, would they get the April issue, or could they request it? Same thing with back issues. How does that work?
I think they could request it. They might have to send us an email to do that, because I really don't know the logistics, the mechanics of it, as to whether it automatically starts you up with the current issue. If it was earlier in the month, then I would say definitely. But it's the 20th, so we're a week away from the May issue coming out. So I don't know if it would start with April or would start with May. As far as back issues, I'm also not sure what the arrangement is on the digital edition.
Oh, for the hard copy, those are available on your website, right?
You can order on the website.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But
And then
I'm not sure how that works.
Okay, super. And then, of course, we'll see you at Hamvention.
Yep.
Where will CQ be?
We're going to be in one of the tents.
Okay.
They've got apparently fewer spaces and more interest than at Hara. We had a couple of communication glitches early on and missed getting our reservation set for the inside booths, and but they are bringing in one or two tents, not camping type tents, but the semi-permanent ones, the big white ones that you see at events and things. And Dougal, you've had
What a show off!
so we're going to be in one of their tents, so it should be interesting, and it's going to be fascinating to just explore the whole place and see what it's like in a new place. It's a very interesting thing we discovered trying to get our airline tickets finalized, which we're in the process of doing. For years now, I've been flying into Columbus instead of because the airfares into Dayton that weekend were inflated. And now, of course, Xenia is halfway between Dayton and Columbus. And I guess the airlines caught on to that because it's going to cost $500 to fly to Columbus, but only $300 to fly to Dayton.
Oh my gosh. Go figure.
So, go to Dayton.
Well, Rich, I want you guys to be sure and come by and see us. We'll be in booth 5006. I know CQ, as always, has donated some digital subscriptions. We'll be giving out some prizes, digital subscriptions to CQ magazine. So maybe you'll be lucky.
Get out from under your shoulder there.
That's right.
I'll be happy to see you if I manage to get unchained from the booth. So
sounds good. Well, we look forward to seeing you there, and have safe travels, and see you in a few weeks at the new location of Hamvention.
Sir, why are you biting my arm?
All right, Rich, thank you. 73, we'll see you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Come on over.
Okay, that was Rich W2VU. Let's see if I can figure out how to turn this off here. Let's see.
Doing this.
Here we go. Okay, I think I got it. Okay, there we go. Okay. All right, great. Okay. We know all about CQ now. Let's see, what do we got going here next? Hey, Katie, I think you and Dwayne are going to talk to us about, I never get the letters right, ILRP, IPRL, ILPR, what is it?
MICKY, MOUSE, no. How's that?
Yeah.
No, we this weekend, Dwayne we've had an IRLP node to be installed and put it up on the new antenna or on the new tower this weekend. And since he knows a lot more about it than I do, and I didn't want to sound dumb, I thought it'd be good to bring him in and make him talk a little bit about it. Sorry, we were having some headphone issues, so we just grabbed his set. So I thought WI7FD could share a little bit about why we got this and what we're going to do with it and who we can talk to.
Tell us about
can't hear anything.
Oh, Sil?
Here.
Oh, can you hear?
Say something to me, Tom. I can't hear anything yet.
Can you hear me? Hello.
I can hear you now. Okay. I got a set of headphones on. By the way, Christmas present. Katie gave them to me.
No, that was your birthday present.
Oh, cool. Cool.
See, I'm so old now I forget which holiday it is. Birthday present. Katie gave them to me Saturday.
Yeah, his birthday was on Saturday, and he got himself these nice new Radio Sport headphones.
I like those.
Yeah, they're really nice. Yeah, I like them too. I can't hear anything but what's in them, so that means I don't hear her when she comes to tell me to take out the garbage while I'm running the radio.
All right.
Anyway, Rocky Mountain Ham Radio gave us a IRLP link to put in here in Wyoming, and it's linked to the Fun Machine in Denver, Colorado. And it's really kind of cool. This weekend, I climbed up the tower and placed a AR 450. That's the 70 centimeter version of the Ringo Ranger from Cushcraft. I stuck it up on the tower about 30 feet, and then come down and opened up the case and looked in the case and was bummed because the rig itself has a micro UHF connector or mini UHF connector on it, and I don't have any of those in the shack, so it's off to the parts house on Friday afternoon. I picked up an adapter and got a little short piece of cord so I could hook that up. We hooked it up, and then last night, John W0VG down in Denver, he and I worked at getting it going, and lo and behold, from Wyoming now, if you're on 440, you can talk to Denver, Colorado, and it's crystal clear.
Well, that's cool. That's similar to Echolink, isn't it?
It's very similar, except that it's constantly tied to the repeater. Echolink, when you pick it up, you got to open up the Echolink, then you got to open up the destination.
Oh,
For this, if you just key it up, it pops out the repeater down in Denver.
Okay, I got you. Okay, similar, but just a little different the way they operate there. Well, I'm gonna have to check into that.
We're gonna work on this. We're gonna put an Echolink on it. So that we have that Echolink access. Now, this is not a repeater, it's only simplex. So if someone were out of handheld range but could hear people talking, they won't hear this side of the conversation that comes up here. Let's say someone in town is talking to someone 30 miles out. They can't hear the handheld. So it's only simplex, not a repeater. That's one of the drawbacks, but it does work quite well for what we designed it for.
Well, that's good. That's cool. Hey, let me ask you a question. Have you finished all your antennas there?
No.
Are you ever finished with antennas?
No. There's always a better antenna to put up, but we haven't had a decent string of weather yet. I keep itching for it. In fact, this weekend I borrowed a N7 WYO's Jeep with a winch on the front of it, and then the weather started turning on us, so I didn't get to lift that up. I was going to lift the mast up through the center of the tower and get it set and ready to go for the antennas to be done later, but we still got to get a string of good days tied together. We had like 75 and 80 on Friday and 6 or 8 inches of snow today, so it's not ready yet.
Okay, cool. And hey, Dwayne, I apologize for not having a lower thirds for you. I had Katie's made up. We made so many changes to the program the last hour.
That's okay.
But anyway, I think everybody knows you and knows who you are there, and everybody's saying hello to you guys in the chat room.
Oh, I can't read, so.
Yeah. I can't read.
I'm from Georgia. They didn't teach us how to read down in high school down there.
Oh, stop. So that was kind of a fun project. And, of course, just getting a few QSOs on there. The bands haven't been great, but this is kind of a neat way. We're kind of excited to figure it out and be able to just on the little handheld, log in and be able to talk to the gang down in Denver yesterday. When Dwayne was testing it out, he called in and talked to Amanda at K1DDN down there, and clear as day. And my mom just thought that was really pretty neat because we used her radio. And so it'll be kind of interesting. Once we learn a little bit more and can share about it, I'll be sure to let people know more about it. Because I believe since it's a voice over internet protocol, somewhere along the way we can get people to use it or log into it like Echolink, I think.
No.
Okay, so maybe
IRLP.
not RL. Okay.
IRLP is a linking. It's Internet Radio Linking Protocol,
Right.
And it's only radio to radio. It just uses the internet as the backbone.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's what's going on up here in WI7 land.
All right. Well, hopefully the snow will melt soon, and you can get out there and finish up the antennas. And every week or two, we like to hear about all the projects you guys are working on, because you're very active in a lot of things.
Well, until work catches up with me. Sooner or later, that 4-letter word catches up, and I got to drop all ham radio projects and do something for a living for a while.
Well, I tell you, don't retire like me, because you think about going back to work just so you can rest.
Yeah, I have a friend that is retired and just retired this past winter, and he tells me, he said, I'm not going to tell you that every day in retirement is Saturday, but there are no Mondays.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. Well, hey, thanks, Dwayne, for filling us in on that. And as things progress and you do more things here, we'd love to hear from you.
All right. Katie will keep me in touch, I'm sure.
Yep.
All right.
Go back to Jason DX.
All right. So let's see. Let me see if I can add Ask Dave. Let's see if I can get Dave in here. All I got to do is hit the right buttons and all that stuff. I've got a little thing here that's made that people can't hear me and they can't see good when I try to connect. I'm going to test this out. Here we go.
All right, let's go. Ooh.
What happened? Hey, Dave.
There
how
he
you
is.
doing? Dave, can you hear us?
Hi, Dave.
Yes, I can hear you. Let me turn down the show one. There we go.
Cool. All right. Cool.
He's got a Star Wars T-shirt on.
Now, Dave, you're out in. You don't have any snow out where you are, do you?
Yes, we had snow today.
Oh wow, man.
Yeah, and there's a reason for it. It's because I've just got from MFJ their loop antenna, and I want to take it outside and test it, and that's why we've had all the bad weather.
Of course.
Well, if you were a really real ham, you'd go out in the weather and do that, because if you watched the show the other night when we had the guy on from Macedonia, he went up in these mountains in the snow and ice and wore ice shoes, and he hammed up there.
Well, he can come over here and do the same for me then.
Yeah. I like staying in. I don't like winter anymore. I like staying in where it's a little warmer now. Oh, man.
Yeah,
okay.
I just put up a video a few minutes ago about getting ready for those tests. I have a Heathkit coax switch that hasn't been used in many years, so I put a video together about cleaning that out with deoxit and getting it working again. So I am making progress toward getting that antenna up.
Well, I saw. Let me see. I saw your video with deoxit on the flashlight. So it's the same stuff, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay. Now my head is on top of you, so move over to your right just a little bit. There you go.
Oh, there he is.
Perfect.
There we go.
All right. So, Dave, we kind of, again, I think everybody's starting to know you now. This is Dave Casler, KE0OG, and I had your name up here. Let me get your lower third back up, just so everybody can start, remembering who you are there. And you're a regular on our show now. And we're trying to bring in more questions to ask Dave, and there's starting to be some questions in the chat room for you, and we're going to wear you out tonight, I think. Tonight, I kind of wanted to talk about the International Beacon network that is out there.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know a whole lot about it. It's been a ham 50-something years, and I saw it, and I looked at it, and I didn't ever think it worked. But just like you explained, you kind of got to listen really sharp and kind of tune around, because you don't always hear it. And that's the fun part about this thing, is when you hear it, that means the band's open. So Do you have any idea how this thing came around? Who thought of it or anything like that?
Well, it's been around for a few decades now, and I believe it was put together by the Northern California DX Association or Club or something like unto it. And this was before the internet. This was before you could put things like Whisper together and so on. It preceded all of that, and it was put together by these DX fanatics up there in California, and there's still quite a few up there doing a fantastic job. And the idea is that they will put beacons spread kind of uniformly around the world that will transmit in a strict time sequence, and they're on several different bands, so that if you were to listen to those in sequence, they're all transmitting essentially, I think, on the same frequency on a given band, and then they transmit in sequence. So by just sitting there and listening, you can see where in the world the band is open to. Over the years, they've lost track of a couple of the participants, but several are up, and I was able to actually hear them to make that video, and I think I've got a recording of that in the video. Now, since then, of course, we've gotten somewhat more modern systems with Whisper and being able to pick up CW stations and put them on the internet. But this is the granddaddy. This is the one that proved that it could be done.
All right. Well, let's do this. Let's run a video that explains a little bit about it, and then we'll be back and we'll talk about it.
All ready?
So here we go.
Hams use high frequency, or HF, for worldwide communications, but propagation on these bands can be spotty. Ever wondered where the bands are open to? The International Beacon Network can help you find out. Let's see how it works. I'm Dave Casler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG. Hams use lots of abbreviations, and DX stands for distance. Over time, DX has come to refer to working stations outside one's own country. The HF bands, open to those with general and extra class licenses, can sometimes work over very long distances, even to the far side of the planet. But propagation conditions are highly variable and depend on many factors, including our own star, the Sun. Software has been developed and honed over decades that uses solar activity parameters to predict propagation, but even that isn't exact. It's nice to have a way to tell directly what the band openings are, and for the last 21 years, this has been addressed by the International Beacon Network. The Northern California DX Foundation is a very active nonprofit organization composed of DX operators and enthusiasts. They go so far as to fund expeditions to rare locations to put them on the air. These are called, suitably enough, DXpeditions. To address the problem of knowing when the bands are open and to where, the Northern California DX Foundation, along with the International Amateur Radio Union, created the International Beacon Network. Now 21 years old, the Beacon Network consists of 18 stations around the world. Each transmits at a precise time on a precise frequency, and does so on 5 different HF bands. If you listen on these frequencies, you may hear some of the beacons. If you can, you know the band is open to that area, and it might be a good time to call CQDX down in the CW portion of the band, or if the beacon is really strong, call CQDX on single sideband up in the phone portion of the band. Of course, we never transmit on the beacon frequency itself. Every 10 seconds, a beacon station transmits its call sign in CW on the beacon frequency at 100 watts using a vertical antenna. After that, it sends 4 long dashes. The first is done at 100 watts, the second at 10 watts, the third at 1 watt, and the fourth at 100 milliwatts. The beacons are active on 5 bands, 20 meters, 17 meters, 15, 12, and 10 meters. These bands were chosen because at the time of implementation, these bands were very active for very long distances. The network doesn't have beacons on 30 or 40 meters. Let's look at the frequencies. On 20 meters, the beacons broadcast in turn on 14.100 megahertz for 10 seconds. So if you listen there for 3 minutes, all 18 beacon stations will transmit. Let's do that using my little Fifi software-defined radio that allows us to see as well as hear. On the main dial, 14.100 megahertz is here. You can also see it with better band spread up here. Over here is the Northern California DX Foundation website, which states which beacon is transmitting on that frequency. Let's listen to the 4U1UN station at UN headquarters in New York. You can see the actual signal on the waterfall diagram here. Note that the 4 long dashes fade as the power goes down. We can just hear the beacons in Canada, California, and Hawaii. We can do the same thing on 18 megahertz. Let's listen. We hear the station in Canada fairly well, plus the California station. Each beacon transmits first on 14.100 megahertz, then 18.110 megahertz, 21.150 megahertz, 24.930 megahertz, and 28.2 megahertz. Then it goes silent until its turn comes around again. So, if you listen on one of these frequencies, you'll hear the beacons in succession. This is the classic beacon network and has been in place successfully for many years. You can tune around and listen at different times during the day to see when the band is open and to where.
There we go. That was a great video you did, Dave, that shows how the internet or the international beacon network works. Now, Dave, you used a SDR receiver there. Have you seen one of these or tried one of these? Let me hold this up here.
Oh, this is the MFJ unit.
This is the MFJ beacon monitor. I'm going to hold it here just for a second. You see the lights changing there. As you were explaining, except here you got a really a graphical reference of where the signal's coming from. And if you look at the very bottom, you got the switch down here where you put it on 20 meters, 17 meters, 15 meters. And when you put it on that switch, for instance, right now it's on the 20 meter band. If you're listening on that frequency, 14, what was it, 120, I think, or something like that. And you hear the CWID as you're explaining, and that light is on, you know it's coming from that part of the world. So, you know, when I first got this, I thought this was a beacon receiver, and it's not a beacon receiver. It does not receive signals from these beacons. All this is an atomic clock that is synchronized to these places, and it's telling you, right now, it's telling me that, you know, like Venezuela is transmitting right now, and I have to put my radio on the frequency and listen for it. And if I hear it and that light's on, it tells me where it's coming from. That's kind of cool.
It is. I think it's a good system, and it's been maintained through all these years. You know, the internet is not spread very evenly around the world, and so their goal here is to spread these beacons around the world.
Well, you know, and Still today, many people, when they look at that thing, they think it's a receiver, and it's not. It's just amazing to me how this atomic clock can even sync up and get right, and everybody around the world, of course, has to have a good clock running and synchronize those signals. If they get off, then it's no good. So I guess precision is the key here.
Well, the use of GPS is worldwide. The GPS clock is available worldwide. And if not that, there's certainly the time signal broadcasts from WWV. Canada has theirs, and several other countries have theirs that they refer to get this time very accurate. When I did the video, I researched different networks. The next video after that one is the reverse beacon network. And I was actually asked about that one, and I thought I ought to do them kind of in the chronological order that they were put together. So now with the reverse beacon network, the internet is involved, and you can get a lot more coverage. It's not worldwide necessarily, because there aren't hams transmitting worldwide. So the original beacon network still maintains its relevancy.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've got Glenn Popel, KW5GP, in the chat room. Glenn is the author of the ARL books, Arduino for Ham Radio, and he's talking about this in the chat room now. He was actually going to use an Arduino and take this receiver I've got, or this monitor I've got here, and incorporate them somehow, but in reading here it says that didn't make the cut, so evidently they cut it out of his new book that's just being published. We're going to have Glenn on here, I think, next week, if he can make it out here. Man, we need to talk about that. We need to talk about the at a future show, maybe the reverse beacon, because I'm not that familiar with it. And
here's my little Arduino right here.
There it is.
That I'm learning how to experiment with it.
Well, you're going to have to get Glenn's book. It just came out. If you look on our Facebook group, he just put a picture of the new book out there, and he's going to be in Dayton in a few weeks, giving a talk about it and signing books, and he'll be here with us. Glenn doesn't live but maybe 45 minutes away, so he'll be here next week in the studio, and we're going to talk about that next week. My problem is, and Dave, maybe you could help us here. My problem is knowing on the Arduino where they put all the files in the right directories and subdirectories and folders, and see, that's what I mess up. I can wire the circuits up, but man, I don't know. I don't do well on the software side of it, and all this code's already out there written. You can just borrow it, So, are you getting into that, Dave?
There's an essential difference between the Raspberry Pi and the Arduino. The Raspberry Pi is a computer. The Arduino is a microcontroller. That means it has a small memory, and it's designed to do steps repetitively. There's logic in there, so you can do if, then, else, pick up temperature, do this, something like that. But it's not the kind of computer like the Raspberry Pi is that you can run, say, Whisper on or something like that. Now, somebody's going to prove me wrong and show that they can do it on the Arduino, but they overlap a lot. And I think in the popular literature, people say, well, which is better? Is the Arduino or the Raspberry Pi? Well, they're different. They're apples and oranges. Which band is better, 80 or 40? They're just different.
Oh, yeah. Well, Glenn just popped in here. He said the publisher didn't do it. Glenn is the one that cut it out of the book. His book is 512 pages, so I'm sure there's a lot of went into that. I think he's got 15 new projects in there that he's doing. Katie, you've been looking at the chat rooms. Is there anything going on in there where we need to ask Dave anything?
Not really saying anything. Just seems to be a continuous kind of conversation about everything that's being talked about. Someone was asking a question. Don K4EAA was wondering, said he's got, and I think this was a Whisper related question. He's got his board for his Pi 3 and hasn't hooked it up to the antenna yet, and it's programmed and ready to go, but it wants to know if they're going to have one for 40 meters. Does that make sense?
I do not believe that there are going to be any international beacon project on 40 meters. Okay. It goes down to 20 and that's it. It grew up a few decades ago, several solar cycles ago, at the height of the solar cycle. If you want 40-meter type propagation information, the Reverse Beacon Network or WSPR is probably the place to go.
Yeah, there was a question earlier about WSPR. Would that work with this beacon? And I don't know how it would work, but I guess somehow it can tie in, maybe on reverse or something. I don't know. Tell me about it.
There are three different things.
Yeah.
There are three completely different things. The Reverse Beacon Network, instead of transmitting, it listens, and they try to get listening stations around the world. So you can transmit either a CQ or the word test, T-E-S-T, followed by your call sign. So CQ, KE0OG, or test, KE0OG, and if you send it in real nice Morse, a listening station somewhere, several listening stations actually, will pick that up and list it on the internet. So you can go to the internet and see who hears you and who hears you in real time. Okay, and they've expanded it now to include RTTY and PSK31, and they've got great plans for other things, but that's mostly CW at this point. You can volunteer to be one of the listener stations, but it takes a financial investment and some special equipment and software in order to do that. Now, WSPR is something, again, entirely, because you can transmit or you can receive. Everybody is a receiver and everybody can be a transmitter. But again, you have the problem that what you're looking at is where the bands are open to where there are lots of hams. And you may want to find out if the bands are open to some DX area that you need really badly. So they're different. They do different things. They're apples, oranges, and kumquats.
Oh man, well, you know, I've been watching some of these ham balloon launches. I don't know if you've been watching any closely. I think some of them use the WSPR to, you know, with GPS to give their position, and there's some balloons up that have been up like 250 days. They've gone around the Earth like 70 times. They're breaking world records right now.
Yeah, and those use APRS to get their position down to Earth. And APRS is a very simple protocol. It's simple in terms of use. You don't have to get hooked up with the internet, although your position does appear on the internet. But the thing about the APRS is it primarily puts your location on the internet where other people can see it, and if they're close enough, they can get it directly from you. So that's how they track these balloons.
Well, you know, man, it's low power, and it's got to be very light, down in the grams, because, you know, it takes a lot of helium to lift almost nothing and to stay up there. And these are, you know, milliwatt stations, and they're reporting like on, I don't know, WSPR, APRS. I mean, they're reporting all around the world.
That's right. It's pretty amazing. Some of the big internet companies, Google has had a project. Facebook has had a project. One of them is called Project Loon, L-O-O-N. They left the Y off the end, but the idea was to send balloons around the world, and if they could keep them up there enough, they could serve as internet repeaters to areas that have no other telecommunications.
Wow, man, that's something. All right, well, let's see if there's any last questions for Dave, and if not, we're going to move on. We got a lot of more good things to go tonight. So
very good to talk to you tonight, Tom and Katie and everybody else, and we'll see you next week.
Okay, Dave, thanks, and we'll see you. All right, so very good. So, Katie, I'm going to go ahead and drop you off, and I'll drop both of you guys. And make an announcement here, and we're going to bring Joe Eisenberg in, and we're going to talk about some of the hamfests he's been to and the new kits out there. So we'll see you guys. Thanks a lot. Tune in on the show after a while if you can. We'll see you.
All right. Thank you, 73.
73. Okie dokie. Well, that was really interesting. I mean, Dave really has a lot of knowledge on all these things, and well, I think having Dave on here with us, we're going to have fun this year with all the new projects and the different things, and learn a lot. Let me see what we got going next. Kathy's not here tonight. She is out of town to a big sewing convention. 50,000 people attend this. This is her Dayton. But it's twice the size of Dayton, of course. But she'll be gone for 2 days. So I'm running the show by myself tonight. So I'm clicking the wrong buttons. I'm getting behind schedule. But, you know, we're going to be okay. We're going to make it here. So let's do a couple things before I get Joe on the phone here. We'll be back here in a second. Communicate with the touch of your fingertips. Perfect for small places, the IC7100 base station is the ideal D-Star option to help those communicate anywhere. It has angled control head and touchscreen for quick, intuitive operation, a large internal speaker for clear digital audio, and is perfect for multi-band and all-mode communications. Travel outdoors and enjoy the spring air. Back for a limited time, the IC7200 is a great option for hams wanting a device to carry out into the field. It is simple and tough with IFDSP, digital noise reduction, and a USB port for PC control. Ideal for the ham on the go, try the IC7300. It's a high-performance, innovative ATF transceiver with a compact design. It has RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, a large 4.3 color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and an SD memory card. Visit www.icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on ICOM radios. Okay, well, I've got Joe on the line here, but it's not his turn yet. I'm going to make him wait another 2 minutes. So, Joe, just stand by out there. And again, we're kind of mid-show. Want to welcome all of our listeners on WBCQ, world-famous international radio, shortwave radio station on 5130 kilohertz out there. Thanks to Lord Robert. He's in our chat room. He takes our audio and makes it sound good when it goes in that transmitter up there. And we really appreciate all they do up there. And hey, if you guys are interested in putting your own radio show on, tell them Tom sent you. Send an email to wbcq@wbcq.com and tell them you want a radio show, and for $25 an hour, they're going to run a special, and they will set you up and put your show on the air there. No contracts or nothing like that. So you can do a one-time deal or once a month or however much you want to do it there. But it's kind of neat. If you're listening on shortwave, we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email, tom@w5kub.com. Tell us where you are. Give us a signal report. We'd like to ask everybody to join our Facebook group. Click on the Facebook link up at the menu at the top. If you're on shortwave, you can join the program and watch it at w5kub.com. Let's see. Wanted to talk about one thing. We got Dayton coming up here pretty quick in about 3 weeks. We're going to have a marathon, guys. We're going to be streaming for over 48 hours. 48 hours over 6 days. You've never seen so much streaming. But that trip cost us about $3,000 to $4,000 just for this trip to put the show on for you guys. Internet alone last year was $700 for the internet just at the convention, not mobile. And our hotel bills are really high. So we're trying to recoup some money. Now, we're going to give away a lot of prizes. We're going to be giving away thousands and thousands of dollars of prizes, everything from fusion radios, HTs, mobile rigs, antenna tuners, reels of LMR 400 coax, everything. And if you want to check the prizes out, at the top of the page, go click on Prizes, Dayton 2017, and you'll see the prizes. All you have to all you have to do is be in a chat room when we call your name, when Hambot calls your name, and if you answer, you win that prize, and it'll be shipped to you. Now, we're setting aside one prize for our supporters. For those people that donate to help us cover this $3,000 to $4,000 expense, we're going to put your name in a special hat for a CAA 500. You guys have probably seen this. This is that Comet, the new Comet antenna analyzer. It has a LCD here. It'll graph out your it'll plot a graph of your SWR across the frequency sweep. It has analog meters. It goes 1.8 to 500 megahertz. It feels like a brick. It's heavy. It's solid. It's metal. And you'll love this. We're going to give this away at noon on Sunday at Hamvention. So the prize window is open now. If you want to donate, there is a donate button at the top of the page where we can put your name in. For every $10 you donate, we're going to put your name in the hat one time for this prize. $30 will get you in here 3 times, and I'll give the same offer. If you give us $1,000, we'll put your name in here not 100 times, but 101 times. You get an extra name in the hat. But that is it right there, the CAA 500, and that's going to help us hopefully cover our trip. When we do the webcast, we do it for you guys. We put on a show. We don't look around. We don't buy. We don't sell. It's strictly 48 plus hours. We're going to call it the Hamvention 2017 Marathon. So it's going to be great. We hope a lot of you guys tune in there. Now, let's see. I think I've got all the announcements out of the way. So let's go to Joe out in Nebraska. Hey, Joe, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Tom. Hope the audio is good. Your audio is great now that you've got your gain adjusted, and I just did a little trimming on this, so hopefully we're all right. Yes, I've been traveling a bit, so how's the audio?
Well, it sounds really good. You're doing good there.
Right. All right. Well, I think we have good taste in mics. These do really, really good. And the mics bring up something that I'll show in a little bit. So first off, we'll go to the slides, and then we'll talk about the kit. So I have to remember what order these are in. They may not be in the correct order because I use 2 different cameras on some of these trips. So they're probably not in the chronological order, but we'll do our best.
Okay.
So let's see if we can get to, there we go. We're going to share my screen, and you're going to see my screen full of icons. Right now, that should work.
Yep. Wow.
Is
that a real truck?
Yes, it is. That truck has been turned into a billboard. That's actually been there for over 40 years or more. That is between St. Joseph, Missouri and Kansas City. So, of course, when I'm going south on I-29 towards the Kansas City metro area, that's kind of a landmark along my way. So that lets me know I'm almost to Kansas City. Yes, it's at least a 40-year-old semi that has been turned into a live billboard. So we're going to go to the Shriners Hamfest in Kansas City, which was a little over a week ago. This is held at the Ararat Shrine Temple, which is not too far from the 435 freeway on the east side of Kansas City. And I think it's only one exit south of the stadiums, which are Arrowhead Stadium, home of the Chiefs, and Kauffman Stadium, home of the rather questionable Royals this season. But these guys are part of the Amateur Radio Club. And the Amateur Radio Club at the Ararat Shrine handles communications. They do emergency backup communications to the shrine hospitals, and they also do communications during parades. Now, as you know, the Shriners are parts of a lot of local parades, and they usually operate pretty much autonomously. They fill in a certain space in a local parade, like on the 4th of July and so forth. And these guys do all their own communications, so they get everything all set up and get their entry where it belongs via amateur radio. They also have an HF net that connects them with other Shrine Temple amateur radio clubs. So if you think about a club having a facility for a hamfest at no cost, this is it. Everything that they get, obviously they pay nothing for the facility, and the concessions are run by the Shriners. So admission is only like $5, and it all goes to the Shrine charities, which include the hospital and some of the costs of running their local repeater and their ham shack that they use for their public service events. It is the largest hamfest in the Kansas City metropolitan area, which is roughly, if you're wondering, it's a little over 3 hours from where I live. So when you come in the front door, the first thing you see is a 3D printer. In fact, there were 3 of them operating, and absolutely fascinating things just to sit there and watch. I know one of these days I'm either going to buy one or build one. And he showed me one that was actually built from a kit, and most of the parts in it were made with another 3D printer. So pretty interesting. And this one here was the largest one they had. Now, Tom, do you remember these things? This was 6 meters AM. Do you remember these, Tom?
I don't remember that model, I don't think. What is it?
It's a Gonset G50 6-meter communicator. It was 6 meters AM.
Yeah, I remember some of the Gonsets. I don't remember that one that had the dials on both sides.
Yeah, this is a version that was not very common, and I was surprised to see one not only this old, but look at how clean that was. That was just an outstanding piece. I was surprised to see that in the flea market. This is what it looks like if you're looking from the stage over the Hamfest room. And like I said, this is the biggest Hamfest in the Kansas City metro area. Now in November, they hold another Hamfest in here that's also co-sponsored not only by the Shriners but the Raytown Amateur Radio Club. So this same place serves 2 large local Hamfests every year, but this is the largest one. And way in the back of the room, kind of near the trophy cases, is WB0W from St. Joe, Missouri. So he's only about 40 minutes to the north of this place. Now, how about this? This was something that I was really surprised to see. This is a National SW3, which was a regenerative HF receiver from the very old days. And I think it dates to, about 1931 or something like that. Very simple radio. This one was in surprisingly, absolutely beautiful shape. And every once in a while, like I said, when you go to any Hamfest, you just don't know if it's a big Hamfest or a small Hamfest. You don't know the treasures that might be within, Tom.
Oh, wow.
Now, we were talking about dip meters and stuff, too. And there was a Midland solid-state dip meter that dates back to the 1960s. And I've gotten to like those dip meters. Now, how about this? This is a Henry 2K amplifier. This is the export.
I've seen those.
This is the export version.
And I want one.
Yeah, I saw this. This was the export version. So it has the big finals in it and the extra large power supply. It'd take 2 or 3 of us to lift this to carry it out. And I think he wanted $2,000 for it. When you think about it, Tom, if I had the space, I probably would have taken it home. That is worth it for $2,000. Of course, it's not like the Alphas that are all digital controlled. If you can handle manually tuning an amplifier, this is the one. Look at the double circuit breaker down on the bottom and the filament switches and everything. Absolutely clean. This one was absolutely beautiful. Here's another look. This is looking the other direction from the other balcony down towards the stage. And you can see this place was packed. And a lot of hamfests pretty well empty out by about 11 o'clock, and I think that's when I took this picture. So it had been going since 8 o'clock. Real busy place and a fun hamfest. Guess who showed up? Bob Heil, K9EID, and I don't know why he was in Kansas City, not just for this, but he lives in Springfield, Missouri now, which is about 2.5 to 3 hours to the south of Kansas City. In fact, it's on your way to Branson, and I go through Springfield every time I go to Branson. So there was Bob Heil. He just kind of showed up, and it was great to talk to him.
Well, that's cool. You guys will be seeing a lot of Bob on our show from Dayton because he's basically right across from us, actually in the building we're in, Building 5.
Yeah, you're both in Building 5, which isn't too big. And you can see to the right here, he had one of those PR77 mics, a really neat looking mic and really great sounding. This is the golf cart from the Shriners Ham Club, WAZONQA. It says we talk so they can walk, obviously referring to the Shriners Children's Hospitals. And the Ham Club provides the amplified sound and communications, like I said, for their parade operations. This is their building from the outside. You can see the big tower. There is a repeater there. You can see a multi-band dipole coming off of there, and that's a high-gain Explorer 14 beam. And there's 2-meter Yagis and UHF and VHF and lots of feed lines. They have a very nice ham shack there. I did not get in there this time to take a picture. Now, you know, I can't come home from Kansas City without a special treat, right, Tom?
That's right. And that looks special.
Yeah, this is on Interstate 29. I am looking to the northwest because the road goes north and west from Hamburg, Iowa to Highway 2, which is where I turn to go to Lincoln. But I happened to be, instead of going to Lincoln, I was going on to Omaha for a club dinner. So if you look straight ahead towards this blue sign, you see this kind of a column there, and then to the right there's more precipitation. This column here in the middle of the road straight ahead of me, of course the road curves off, is the hail core. This particular thunderstorm cell had dropped a funnel about 10 miles to the west of Nebraska City. And so I was approaching the Nebraska City exit, and if you look here to the left, take a look here, this is a wall cloud with an extension, okay? So, of course, silly me, I decided to keep going at 75 miles an hour towards this thing, and now I see a gap between the hail core and the rotation.
Oh, looks like you got it made.
Yeah, so I thought, yeah, this will be kind of interesting. Let's see how close I can get to this and maybe get a couple of photos. As you can see, that wall cloud's pretty active. Now take a look where I am, and if you look at this haze right here, it's a little blurry, but you see that haze right there between the raindrops and pea-size hail? That is the funnel that's not quite visible yet, but you can see the dust cloud stirred up in the cornfield to my left. Of course, nothing was planted yet. So that was the dust cloud from a funnel cloud, all right? Mm-hmm. And now here's another look at the wall cloud after the funnel roped out, which it only lasted about maybe a minute or so, and it roped out right away. And I didn't get as many pictures of the rope out because I was too busy concentrating on my driving, and it was kind of low visibility. And this is another close-up of the wall cloud, and you can see here to the right, this is the truck stops and stuff at the exit where I normally get off. So very interesting photos that got forwarded to the National Weather Service. So let's go to the next Hamfest. This one was this last Saturday in Des Moines. I should have got this guy to open this box. You know who Inaway Communications is, don't you?
I don't know. I don't think I've heard of them.
Yeah, ICOM. This is ICOM. Before it was known more as ICOM, it was Inaway Communications. And this was a 2-meter crystallized transceiver. I wish I would have gotten the guy to open it up to get a better picture of it. But he said it was in very good shape. And he only wanted $25 for it. So if you were a collector, that would be a good item. Who do you think this is? This is WB0W, Galen and his wife. And, of course, they come from St. Joe. And, of course, they make the Tar Heel antennas as well, right there in St. Joe, Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
And, let's see, Ron and Amy from Gold Medal Ideas. They make T-shirts. Maybe they'll make a W5KUB T-shirt. But Ron is a regular in the chat room. And they were here in Des Moines making T-shirts and caps and badges and all sorts of things. And they came in from Chicago. Now, Des Moines, from where I work in Omaha, is only about 2 hours. From Lincoln, it's about 2 hours and 45 minutes. So it is a little bit closer than Kansas City. So the Des Moines Hamfest is a regular for me as well. This was an interesting item. And I'm going to see if I can zoom in on this, Tom. Does that work?
Yes, it does.
Okay. This is a AM/FM shortwave pocket radio. And it sold for, I think, about $25 or $26. It is digital and covers most of the shortwave broadcast band. I had mine on 5130, but the signal was way too weak here. But it has a couple of unusual features. One is the speaker is unusually good sounding, and if you flip it over, it has a tiny little subwoofer in the back. So it really sounds good for a pocket radio. It has direct frequency entry. On FM, I could hit 949 and then enter, and it does it. You can save frequencies and memories. You can put a micro SD card in there and record what you're hearing, including in stereo if you're recording from FM. And it'll play your MP3 files as well. It was kind of a startling little pocket radio, and it doesn't run on AA batteries either. It runs on a flat pack cell phone battery that I think is common to Nokia's. And I looked it up online, and they were like $5 or $6 for the batteries. So, and it charges with a normal micro USB cell phone charger. I thought that was kind of cute for a pocket radio. Never seen one of those. But if you look up the SRW-710S online, you'll find it under a zillion different brand names, but it's the same radio. So just pick the best deal. I thought it was kind of interesting and an awful high-quality local broadcast receiver as well. Also at the same booth, this was DNL Antenna Supply, where I found this, is the new version of the Chinese mobile radios, those little tiny ones that look like they go on the handlebars of a motorcycle or something. He has it built into this Ammo Box Go kit, but you'll notice, I'm going to zoom in here at the frequencies in there. He can put as many as 4 different frequencies in there. You can monitor 2 meters, 220, and 440 and transmit on those 3 bands, and you can have FM broadcast on, having that on, and have your music cut away when there's a call on any of the bands that it's monitoring. So it's kind of neat, and I think those sold for about $125 for those, and they put out about 25 watts. So you got 2 meters, 220, and 440 for $125. Great little Go Kit radio. The Des Moines Hamfest is held in the Elwell Family Food Building, which is part of the Iowa State Fairgrounds. During the Iowa State Fair in August, they average about 100,000 people per day at that state fair. And I try to go to it once a year. It is an incredible experience to go to the Iowa State Fair. It's one of the biggest fairs in the country. DMR has gone from almost non-existent last year to almost statewide. They are working diligently at connecting the whole state of Iowa in a roamable DMR system. If you have a Motorola radio that has the roaming, you can roam from one repeater to the next, kind of like a cell phone works, and stay on the same talk groups. But I didn't bring my DMR radio with me because Des Moines had not had DMR. That was until the day before or 2 days before the Hamfest. They turned on the Des Moines area repeaters. So obviously I didn't know they were going to be there, so I didn't have DMR with me. Next time I go to Des Moines, I will have it with me. This is the Polk County ARES communications trailer that they had there. A very good operating mobile station for the club that serves the Des Moines metro area. And, you know, Emmett is a regular on our show, and there was the RF adapter guy from Illinois, and he was selling the whole line of Emmett's antennas, radio waves. Great antennas, and it was great to see them at the Hamfest. You can find just about anything you want at a Hamfest. How about this? This is a 2 antenna, one to point forward and one to point backwards, police car radar.
Oh, yeah.
K-band.
Yeah. I would, that would
radar.
be cool.
I should have put, what?
That would be cool to have.
Yeah, that would be fun. He only wanted $50 for it, and he even had tuning forks so you could calibrate it. It was a working unit. And of course, like most Hamfests, there's lots of junk. But right next to it, about a block down within the fairgrounds in the 4-H building, there was a book sale going on. And look at this huge room full of nothing but books. It is just endless. You couldn't get through this. This was a big attraction that a lot of the hams would go to, or their families would go to during the Hamfest. And I took a walk down there afterwards to take a look at this place. And it was huge. I mean, it's this big giant building absolutely full of books. Here's another look at it. So it's always good to take advantage of being in another city, and you never know what you might find when you go to a Hamfest. So let's go to another Hamfest. Let's go down to Branson, which was actually about 3 weeks ago. The 4-state QRP group, who puts together a wonderful series of kits, puts on OzarkCon. And OzarkCon is an annual gathering of QRP operators. Close to 150 attended this year. Now, Tom, number one, at none of these Hamfests did I win a single prize. Okay?
Oh, man.
Now, think of this. At OzarkCon, there were 180 prizes for 150 attendees, but each attendee got 2 tickets. So who was one of the 5 or 6 people that didn't get drawn at all that weekend? Guess who?
Well, I can tell you, that probably means the odds of you winning something at Huntsville are much higher, so I'm going to have to up my game there.
Well, you're not going to have me to compete with this
year,
because
that's right.
I'm going to be staying here for the eclipse.
That's right.
But this is one of the kits that 4-State puts out, and he built it into a nice cabinet and had racks for crystals and so forth, and logbooks and tuning chart and tuners and all sorts of different accessories. This is the Bayou Jumper kit. He's modified the tuning knob to have a vernier, and he put a little bit bigger knob on the key. This was the prize drawing numbers in the first round of prize drawings before the evening banquet. Like I said, you looked up your ticket numbers, and both my numbers were no-go. Here's another Bayou Jumper, also mounted in a nice little box. You can see another homebrew kit to the left, and to the right, here's another homebrew there by N5IB. And if you're wondering why N5IB's homebrew looks kind of like the Bayou Jumper, it's because he was the designer of the Bayou Jumper receiver. And David, NM0S from Iowa, from Rockwell Collins, designed the transmitter section of that kit. But this was the prize winners of the homebrew contest at this Hamfest. Take a look at this.
That's nice looking. Yeah.
That is the that's a regenerative receiver for 40 meters.
Uh-huh.
And this is the matching transmitter, CW transmitter. I mean, this was beautiful.
Oh, wow.
And had the tags engraved custom and everything for it, and used authentic stuff so that the sockets and the meter and stuff were all antiques but in beautiful shape, and even the power switch. Absolutely beautiful job for this CW transmitter that went with that regenerative receiver. When I saw that, it got my vote for the best build was this item right here. Now, Alpha Antennas from the Kansas City area was at all the Hamfest, was represented at all three that I was at. And this is Steve from Alpha Antenna doing business and selling one of his little loops. And I have one of his loops, and I have one of his other antennas as well. This is another little homebrew project. Now I'm going to zoom in on this. Let me see if I can center that a little better. How's that? Let's see. Okay. This is an AM broadcast band filter. One of the problems with these little direct conversion radios, especially the minimalist Pixie type radios, is that if you're near a local AM broadcast station, it can bleed over into it. So it can be a problem. So he's designed a broadband. You can see there's different amounts of turns and different values of capacitors there, so that it resonates at different parts of the AM broadcast band to pretty much filter the whole thing out. We started off with that flea market and so forth, and then we have an evening banquet on Friday night, and then we'll take a look here, and this is looking out the balcony that's near the exit of the hotel in the back, right next to my room. And you can see over here to the right, you can see my little feed line, and you can see a string where I've got it tied to the deck. And you can see my end-fed 40, 20, and 10-meter antenna. This is made by PAR end-feds, and it goes up to the fence there. And my SWR was low enough on 40, 20, and 10 that I did not need the tuner at all, and worked quite well. And then you just wind it up, put it away, and it's ready for the next trip. And of course, we had a build-a-thon. And what did we build? We built the Cricket, which is the latest in the 4-state QRP kits. The Cricket is an 80-meter CW transceiver, and most of the guys took an hour or less to put this thing together. And it includes the power supply and the key. Now you can see kind of in his parts tray, you can see the key assembly is partly assembled, and you can see him soldering parts onto the board. Like the 40-meter board, that's the NS40 kit, as well as the BioJumper transmitter section for 40 meters. This one also has spiral wound coils, so you do not need to wind any toroids when you put this kit together. You can see this one is almost completed. He has his key on it, and we have a lot of fun. We had 40 builders and 40 working kits when we were done in the evening. You can see this is a lot of fun. A group kit build is what you want to do, and anybody who wants to bring me to another city, club and whatever to help out with a group kit build, I'm more than glad to do that. This is a close-up photo of what this thing looks like, and I'll hold it in my hand in a minute to give you a better idea of what it is. This is with the battery in place on the two battery snaps, and you can see L1, L2, and L3, these three coils, are spiral wound, and this is for 80 meters. Now, it's based loosely on the Pixie, but anybody who's used a Pixie knows that the receiver is practically deaf. You got to be talking to somebody who's running some power so you can hear them. Not on this. In fact, I think he said the MDS, or minimum discernible signal, on this was minus 110 dBm, minus 110 dB. So that's roughly equivalent to about an S1 signal. And so the crystals that were supplied were the TV color burst crystals on 3579. And around 3580.5, I think it is the ARRL CW bulletins and code practice transmissions. And so there's also some PSK activity and other digital activity around the area. And of course, you don't see any filtering circuits in here too much for the receiver. So you're going to hear stuff at least a kilohertz or two away from your operating frequency. But that means you can hear those CW bulletins. And I was hearing it pretty clearly. Obviously, it wasn't stunningly loud, but it was very clear and easily copyable. And we all took turns listening to it on the headset, having it hooked to my 40-meter antenna because I didn't have an 80-meter antenna with me. And so I thought, well, what the heck? I wonder how strong this signal really is. So I unhooked the Cricket, and I hooked up my KX2. And that wonderful receiver in the KX2 is picking this up all of S2. It was only peaking up at S2. And so when you think about that, and I was able to copy it just fine on this thing with 6 transistors and an audio amp IC, that's pretty darn good, Tom, wouldn't you say?
Hey, yeah, sure.
So all you do is you plug your headset into that jack, you plug your antenna in the back, you put your 9-volt battery on, and there is your straight key right there, part of the kit. And it was a absolutely fun assembly process, and it was great to work people across the room on dummy loads and clip leads and so forth, and then people took them up to their rooms and used tuners to tune down a 40-meter antenna or something, make it work on 80, and it was wonderful. It sounded like a darn net there on 3579. In the morning on Saturday is the seminars and more prizes and so forth. But the Hamfest actually ends around 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday, and that's where everybody splits up and they go to the shows, which is what Branson is known for. And I don't have my show photos on this because they were taken on the cell phone. Most show houses have some kind of policy on cameras. They only like pocket cameras or phones. I had my big camera with me. I wasn't sure, but I found out later it would have been okay even with the big lens. So next time I go to a show there, I think I'll bring my big one and a little one just in case. But we had breakfast in the same room. It was the hotel breakfast. The Ozarkon had a private room for our breakfast, and that's also where we had all of our seminars as well. This was the most popular seminar there, and this was the making of circuit boards, and they would take a circuit board diagram and laser print it onto a special kind of paper, and then they used a transfer process that then transferred that from that special paper to something else, another material, and then to the board through a laminator. And then they mixed chemicals together that made acid and etched the board, and then they had to use lots of baking soda to neutralize that mixture when we were done. But it was a fascinating process, and they made actual working boards from that. So that's the pictures, Tom, and we'll go back.
All right, Joe, are you there?
Back to the...
hey, I want to show you something, Joe.
Now you can see me.
Yeah, I want to show you something. One of your pictures was a the police radar. Remember that picture?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look what I took this out of my closet a while ago. I'll show you what this is. This is a neat little gizmo I've got here.
Aha, radar gun.
How you like that, man? I'm gonna take that to Dayton with me. In fact, I sold a bunch of these at Dayton one year. I think I took 10 of them up there, and I sold 9 of them, and I kept one. But I'm thinking about having a scooter race. We line all the scooters up outside, and with this gun, we'll measure the speed. Okay?
Yeah, that'd be all right. We'll give a price to the one that's going like 9.7 miles an hour.
That's right.
Or something. Very good, Tom. And great time, great fun. I'm going to a small local ham fest this weekend in Glenwood, Iowa, which is just south of Council Bluffs, so it's only about an hour away. And then I'm pretty much ham fested done until Dayton, and we will see you there, Tom.
Well, I tell you, I'm kind of glad. I mean, I'm sad, but I'm also glad you're not going to be at the Huntsville just for the fact that you won't be competing with me for all the prizes. You're the luckiest guy I've ever seen. You always walk out there. You got to go to Walmart and buy 3 suitcases every time you come down there, just to carry your prizes home.
Yeah, that was fun. One time I had to get an extra bag, throw my clothes in it, and then carry on the other one. But this time it's all yours, Tom.
Okay, well, hey, we're finishing just about right. It's 9:30. That's about the time we really need to be off of here and into our unofficial segment called Hangout. Thanks, Joe, very much, and we'll see you soon.
You bet, Tom. We'll always have more kits.
All right, thanks. We'll see you later. 73. Okay, boy, we finished right at 9:30. Let's see. Lord Robert at WBCQ. It's 9:30. You can go ahead and turn the transmitter off and save those big old tubes and save the electricity. We're through with the official show. If anybody out there is listening, they can go to w5kub.com and watch the next part of the show, which is the informal part. This is where we have a group hangout, and anybody can join us. If you've got a camera, or even if you don't have a camera, you just click on the link, and it'll bring you into the show. We leave the show up and running so everybody in the world can watch and hear you. But this is where we all sit around the coffee table and we talk about everything, anything and everything. So I'll be going to hang out in just a second. Just again, let me put a plug in again real quick. We're seeking donations to help pay for this $3,000 to $4,000 webcast that we'll be putting on in 3 weeks at Dayton. So this is the prize we're going to give away to anybody that might win by putting a ticket in the drawing. $10 gets you 1 ticket, $20 gets you 2 tickets, $30 gets you 3 tickets, and so forth. You'll love this thing. You'll love it. I love mine to death. Up in the menu, just go to donate up in the menu at W5KUB, and you'll find how to do it there. Be sure if you do donate, put your call letters in there. That'll help us announce it or find you better. But don't worry, we'll find you. We'll have your email address and everything from the donation. Now, let's see. I was going to say something else. Don't remember what it was. Good night to Robert up in Monticello, Maine. Just coming up real quickly, next week on the show, we've got, of course, Dave and Katie will be here. Glenn Popel will be here with us to talk about his new book about the Arduino projects, 15 new projects for ham radio. And Don Wilbanks will be here. And we're going to talk about Ham Nation 300, Ham Nation 300, plus we're also going to talk about the Young Ham of the Year that we always webcast from the Huntsville Hamfest in August. May 16th, that's the night before we leave on our trip to Dayton, the 500-mile trip. We'll be packing that day. I also have to attend a high school graduation for a granddaughter that night, so I'm not going to be putting a show on from here, but we hope to have a show on that night. I think Marty, KC1 CWF, Chicken with Fries, will be webcasting the show from Massachusetts, so we hope we have a show that night. So I'm going to bring up Hangout and see if anybody is there tonight. Had a good time with everybody. We can take up to 10 people at a time in Hangout, so call us on Skype. If somebody will put the link in the chat room, Bill, if you're listening, maybe you can put the link in the chat room, and where people will know where to go. Okay, almost there.
About Linux.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we're here. Let's see.
Yeah, looks like a thin crowd tonight.
We're here. We got a thin crowd. Real thin?
So far.
Yeah, well, maybe somebody else will join us. Let me adjust the pictures a little bit here if I can find the right mouse here. Let's see. Let me bring you up a little bit. We'll We'll do that right there.
Oh, that would look better. Yeah.
There we go.
Tom, I got a new play toy today.
What do you get? Oh, let's see. What did you get?
That's the LP 700.
An LP 700?
That's the
How come it's not powered on?
Well, I can power it on. I haven't run the. I did power it on. Well, I can power it on for you. But,
what's an LP 700?
It's a digital station monitor from Telepost. You know the Larry that he has the LP 100 watt meters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is the latest and greatest, but it's taken quite a while. I was on the waiting list for a year, so I just got this. Let me get this out. I'll make sure I don't let the smoke out of it.
Yeah, the magic smoke.
Oh yes, plenty of smoke over there. It's that smoke over there. So I don't have the couplers. I don't have the couplers in mind yet. With one will go. Yeah, for the transmitter and Telepost.
Uni, you got a little feedback coming through you, buddy.
Well, what's going on here? Also,
you might have to mute him.
Who's the person? Yumni? I can't see.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yumni. You need to mute your broadcast. The audio. Need to mute the audio on the show at the play window. Just mute the show audio and use the audio on Hangout. Well, let's see what's going on here. I see you got that cigar lit up, Bill.
Oh yeah.
I saw a Doc in the room here. He hadn't been in here smoking with us in a while. I guess maybe he goes to work early now.
Yeah.
That may be true. I can't hang out much longer either.
It's only
You
10:30
Doc's a
there.
busy man.
I mean,
It's 10:30 here.
It's only a little past 10:30 there. Can't you stay up to like midnight?
Yeah. And get up at 5 in the morning. Yeah, that'll work.
Well, I'll get up at. Aren't you the boss? Can't you go in about 8:30, 9?
Yeah, that'll work. Can't do it. No can do.
Oh man. Man, I
It's
used to
all lit up now.
I think Bill works from home. I'm just guessing he works from home. Do you, Bill?
Yeah, I work from home.
Okay. Well, when I was with FedEx, I let all my people work at home at least 2 days a week. So I was home about 2 days a week, and it's nice being able to work from home. Actually, I put in more time. I put in more time, at home. I mean, because you're never off the clock. You kind of feel like, well, if I don't really work this 10 minutes, I'll work 20 minutes later tonight. It all balances out, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a good work-life balance. You get a lot of stuff done, and you can fit your playtime in with your work time. So it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I always feel like more work gets done in the office.
I put in more time, at home.
Someone's got to turn their audio off.
Yeah, Uni's back.
That's Mark. Is that Mark? No, I think that's Mark this time. Mark?
Nah, Mark.
Can't do it.
Mute your show audio, Mark, please. Man,
It's all lit up now.
I think Bill works from home. I'm just guessing he works from home. Do you, Bill?
Yeah, I work from home.
Oh boy.
Got a little feedback loop going on there.
Hangout took the capability away to mute people anymore. I wish it wouldn't take that away. Being able to work from home. I put in more time because you're never off the clock. Who's that? That's Uni. Uni, you need to mute. You need to mute.
Uni or
you feel like this. That's Uni. Yes, Uni now. Uni, you need to mute your audio on the show video player.
we're getting quormed on the Hangout.
And then CQ. Get your return.
Like more.
Okay, so we'll get this straightened out in a minute. I think we got some new people on here. Okay, maybe they've all muted now. It sounded like it's working.
All right, I'm here, Tom. You had a good show.
Thank you. Yeah, well, we got it on. We got it on air anyway. We lost a hard drive or something yesterday on the main computer we normally use, so we're running on a laptop tonight.
And they sometimes say whatever it takes. What normally your boss would always say,
Yeah.
whatever it takes.
Well, that's done pretty good. I'm looking at we've been streaming at 2.5 megabits per second the whole show, and it's showing I've dropped 3 packets since we've been on, in 2 hours and 8 minutes. I don't know if that's right or not, but that's what it's saying.
Well, yeah, it looked like it was pretty steady all the way through the show, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, I got to think about what I'm going to do with this other PC now. I really need to try to get something going before Dayton.
Well, you just get a good burn-in on that laptop, so it's all ready for Dayton.
Yeah. You know, I'm just afraid, if I use it on a trip up here, the 500-mile trip, and it's bouncing up and down, and, I'm hitting the keyboard, and it's jumping around if we're going to, tear it up before we get there, But, I mean, hey, the thing's built like a tank. I don't think it's got a,
Yeah, it's Alienware. It's meant to be kind of, in motion.
I mean, yeah. All right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go lock my front door. See, nowadays, hey, when I was growing up, we never locked our door. But I'm going to go lock my door. I unlocked it at 8 o'clock. Walter was supposed to be coming over. He sent me a text. He said he's running late. So I said, the door is unlocked. Come on in. And it's now 9:44, and he hadn't made it. So I'm sure he's not going to be here. So let me go lock the door. I'll be back.
Can't lock your door from where you're sitting? That's not right.
I can't. I can't turn the alarm on and off through my phone.
There you go. Now you just got to do the same thing for your lock.
All right. So I'm walking. I'm almost at the front door. Well, let's see. Okay.
But I looked up the Quicksilver radar gun, and you can still get them on eBay.
Close this one.
Sounds like a lock.
All right. Walking back.
He's going to stop by the kitchen and get a peanut butter sandwich.
Back. Now I'm back in the ham shack. You got to remember, when you go to the bathroom, you got to remember to turn the mic off.
That would be smart.
Yeah.
I found your Quicksilver radar gun on eBay.
Did you?
Yeah, 60.
Are they new or used, or what did you find?
Yeah, used for $66, but then they got these like Bushnell velocity speed radar gun, baseball, softball, racing, blah 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 for. That's used $42. I mean,
yeah, I did this like 8 or 9 years ago. How do you know it was a Quicksilver? I guess you saw it on the show.
Yeah, it said it somewhere. It said it when you showed it.
Oh, I didn't know our quality was that good. I didn't know. But anyway, yeah, this is it's even got an FCC ID number on it. But I bought. The more you buy, the cheaper you can get them. I think I bought like 10 of them and back 10 years ago, I probably paid $59 a piece for them. I took them up to Dayton. I sold them for $99 a piece.
There you go. Cool.
And kept one of them.
I think that's kind of cool. I've never had one of those.
I used to use it all the time.
Now they got a big flag.
All right.
People just like to pull over for me when I using it.
Well, you know, the police are getting pretty bad when they do this. When they go, okay, stand back, don't get any closer to me. Don't, you know.
Yeah, the funniest thing you can do with a radar gun is you can have the thing on, but with most of them, you can manually turn the antenna off. So when people with these radar detectors are driving by, and then you got to point at them, and they're looking at what's wrong with my radar. As soon as they go by me, I flip the switch on, and you see their car go. Oh.
Yeah, you know.
Oh, wow.
You know, there's a thing we also built. Let me see if I got one here. I don't know. Oh yeah, we built hundreds of these and sold them at Dayton, and we call it the Enforcer. Let me see if I can show you this. We call this the Enforcer. That's just a little label made by T&E Electronics. T is Tom, E is Ed, and it's got a little button on top. And what this is, it's a 10 gig transmitter. And we were selling these for $39.95 a piece. Our cost to build them was about $9. And I sold so many of these. You take this in your car, and people had radar detectors back in. You could press this button, and it would set the radar. It set their radar detector off, and it'd slow down. And I remember going to Huntsville one year. This car started to pass me on the highway. I just mashed the button, and they slowed down, got behind me. They started to pass again. I mashed the button. They slowed down, got behind me. But
the other thing you used to be able to do is when you get to judge speed with those radars. So I have the antenna off as the car's coming to me, and just when it gets close to me, I flip the antenna on, and you watch the front bumper about hit the road.
Yeah. Well, you could watch. Hey, with this thing, you could watch the bumpers, go down like hitting the ground, man. I mean, this thing, it had a range of maybe quarter of a mile, and it's a little 10 gig transmitter. We sold so many of these things. We'd make 100 of them and take them to Dayton, and we'd sell out like by Saturday morning. We'd sell out, and can you imagine 100 of them at $40 a piece? I had these cargo pants on, and I had so much money stuck in all those pockets. We had $4,000 stuck in our pockets from these little things right here. But we haven't done it. Since the radar detectors now aren't that. They're much better now. This really wouldn't be effective on it.
Now, if you got pulled over, or you pulled someone over that had one of those, and you found a car, could you? Is there something illegal about having one of those, Mike?
I don't think so.
Well, first of all, it's a 10 gig transmitter, and hams have a license to operate in a 10 gig band.
Right.
I could run a kilowatt there.
But I mean, if the police officer were to find it, I mean, yeah, you're allowed to have it, but I mean.
Yeah, I mean, everything after that, like Mark P says in the chat room, everything pretty much went to laser, from after that, and it was, so it become less effective,
Yeah, it's not affecting the police part of the action. It's just.
Yeah, it was just being picked up.
Harassing the citizens.
Yeah.
Right.
I tell you, let me tell you a story about that. And we hadn't done them in a long time, but I mean, it almost caused some accidents sometimes. In fact, there's a truck stop over in Arkansas. We went over there one day and stocked them up, consignment to sell these things for us at the truck stop. When you go in a truck stop, they got all these electronic gizmos and stuff. And went back over to check and see how they were doing, and they said the truckers were revolting. They said they're buying radar detectors from them, and now they're selling those radar transmitters, and they took them off the shelf and put them back in the back. They wouldn't even sell them. We ran an ad in Road and Track, a sales ad in Road and Track, and they screwed that ad up, put something in there wrong, had to run it again. So, we had kind of bad luck with our sales, our marketing side. Although Dayton was really good, like I say, we'd sell all we could make, man.
But did the FCC ever have any issue with that?
Well, I don't know. I didn't ever ask them.
Well, I mean, it's just I'm trying to figure out how you got around the FCC. I think
well, like I said, I'm a ham, and hams have the 10 gigahertz band, and
but you're allowed to kit build yourself, but to sell the stuff, It's not FCC.
Well, it's not against the law for anybody to buy a ham radio. It's just against the law for them to use it.
There you go.
Let me put my ice skates on.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was getting out of the department, they started going to laser.
Yeah.
And that was a whole different radar. You can just point that beam on a bumper of a car and, middle of 4 or 5 cars and pick out the one you want.
Yeah, I never really figured out how the police did that, when you had a whole bunch of cars all together, and how you pick the car out, man.
You actually, if they're a whole bunch together, you can't.
Yeah.
You weren't able to do it. You on it that way. You tried to work where there was separation of the traffic. And then when they came out with the laser, I could pick up a car half a mile away, put that little red dot right on the license plate of a particular car, and pick that one out of the group.
Well, tonight it came up in the show, and Joe was talking, or somebody was talking about in the chat room, we did get stopped coming back from Dayton about, 6 years ago or so. Man, we were doing 89 and a 70, and we had our friends in front of us in the truck. He got through it, and then he yells on the radio, "You might want to slow down. There's police here." Well, by the time he said that, I'd already gone by him, and 89 and a 70, and that was going to be pretty bad. And man, it was a woman cop. She said, "How fast you going?" I said, "Yeah, well." I said, "Well, I don't remember." Anyway, I got my license out, and she almost got run over. And she said, "I'll be back." She threw the license back at me. She said, "I'll be back." And she went and jumped in her car and took off after the guy, and they ran over her on the interstate. And she never came back.
Well, you weren't waiting, were you?
Oh, we waited, yeah, because they sat behind my car for 20 minutes before they even walked up to my door, let me tell you. And they were checking us out. I'm sure they knew who we were. And she didn't say, "Would you mind just remaining here until I come back?" She says, "I'll be back," and threw that thing at me. And so we sat there for a while. I had my friend with me there, and he goes dating with me, and he had to go pee. Okay, right. So anyway, we're parked on the side of the interstate, and I keep watching for her to come back. And he says, I gotta go, man. He says, "I'm gonna walk up here in the trees." I said, "No, man, you can't do that. You can't walk up there in the trees and come back. If she sees you come back out of the trees, they're gonna think you hid something up there. They're gonna tear this car apart, bring the dogs in and everything."
All those illegal electronics.
So, but you know what? When she looked in my car, I was driving a car. I was driving an Infiniti then, and she looked in that car. And when we went to Dayton, we packed that car down with thousands of pounds. The trunk was full, the back seat was full, the floorboard's full. We had GPSs. I think we may even had a radar detector, but we had GPSs. We had 2 or 3 radios. I think we had a low band rig in there. We had a computer. We were streaming. We had all kinds of stuff. We had Ethernet cables and hubs and switches and wires running all over the place. And she probably was going to call DHS when she looked in there. But
she threw your license plate. If she threw my license back to me and took off, she should have kept it and said.
Well, here's what happened. And everybody in the chat room was wondering, what's going on? Well, anyway, they said, "Well, show her on the GPS. Show her on the GPS how fast you're going, Tom." And we looked at that. We looked at GPS and said we were doing. The GPS said we were doing 249 miles an hour. But anyway,
you definitely would have got a ticket on that, then.
Yeah, right. So anyway,
I think that would have proved that your equipment is faulty. Might also be.
Well, that's not the only time we got stopped. Well, many years ago, I had a little Dodge Reliant, and about 6 of us would always go to Dayton in it. And I had a friend of mine driving. We're going through Nashville, and we got stopped, and doing 80 or something. And my buddy driver says, "What? You kidding?" He says, "This thing won't do 80." Anyway. Oh, man. Anyway, so it was interesting about when we got stopped. You seen these little signs on the side of the interstate that says dial star 622 for Tennessee Highway Patrol, or you've seen little signs like that? One of the signs was right in front of my car where I stopped, and I really thought she was mad, man. They had my tag number, and she said, "I'll be back." So after about 30, 45 minutes, I called that number, and I said, we were stopped speeding by Officer Fritz, and I said, I want to do the right thing here. I think she said that she would be back. Now, I said, I think she said she'd be back. Well, there was no thinking about it. She said, "I will be back, man." Anyway, so they said, we'll call her on the radio. And I said, "Now, don't make her mad." They said, we won't make her mad. We won't make her mad. So anyway, they called her on the radio, and she said that she told them, "Tell them they can go." So we left.
Wow. They were probably chuckling in dispatch. She actually stayed.
And let me tell you something. A year later, I tried to contact them up there about, we're coming through again. We're streaming. People around the world watch. You stopped us last year. We'd really love to have Officer Fitz, come get in front of our camera, maybe give us an escort through town, or just something like it, something kind of neat, And I sent them an email. They never answered me. I even left a voicemail. They never called me back.
Probably thought you were crazy.
Well, we kind of were. Oh man.
All right, guys, I'm gonna head off to bed. See ya.
Night, Jeff.
All right,
Good night.
Tom, see you in Dayton. See you
Okay,
next
man.
week,
We'll see you there.
Absolutely.
Dayton.
All right.
Dayton.
Good night.
All right. We'll see you. Oh man.
That's too good.
I guess I've been lucky. I've never had a ticket that I had to pay for, I've been stopped. Never. All my life. I've been stopped a couple times. Like
when I first got my license when I was 16, I had 10 points going off my driver's license before I was 17.
Oh man.
Oh my
I had to get off that way. Instead of the chasee, I became the chaser, and then made a patrol car then. So.
Well, let me tell you.
Still driving fast, but I was in the other end of it.
Let me tell you something. I don't know how it happens, but in Memphis one time, I got a ticket for a left turn, no left turn on red. No left turn. And I told the officer, I don't know, it was one of those motorcycle guys. I hate them motorcycle guys. Isn't that what you were? Anyway, he said, "Yeah, didn't you see the sign?" I said, "Officer," I said, I've been true. I said, I didn't see the sign. I did not see a sign. Well, I went back and looked. There was one hanging under the light. There was one on the pole on the right. There was one across the street. They were everywhere, man.
The sign is hanging right between the two traffic lights that you were looking at.
Man, there were signs everywhere, man.
Oh Lord.
It's amazing how they appear.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, I'm going to get out of here.
No, they were back illuminated so you couldn't see them.
Yeah.
All right, Bill. We'll see you later, man.
Take care.
It's getting really late out your area. About 8 o'clock, isn't it?
Yeah. That's just 9.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll see you.
We'll see you.
All right.
Yep.
7-3.
That's them like that. Them signs were backlit by the sun. You were driving into it.
Well, I'm not sure about that. But I didn't see them. Man.
Yeah, you just don't see them. I didn't see them.
I mean, the police are not to give you a ticket for something you don't see. I mean, it wasn't my fault. Let me ask Mike about that, Mike. What if I told you I didn't see the sign? And what if I really didn't see the sign? I mean...
And I found you could put even a bigger sign up and people still didn't see it.
Well... Yeah. I would argue that if the sign was bigger, I would have seen it, yeah.
Yeah. It's the old excuse, well, if I know you were sitting there working radar, I wouldn't have been speeding.
Yeah.
No, you don't want to say that. No. No.
Yeah.
remember when I'm like you there, Mike. I got my license in January, and I think it was Memorial Day weekend, and I was going down this road, and all of a sudden this blue light come up behind me and blew the siren at me and everything, and I pulled over. Guy comes up and goes, license and registration. I says, what for? He says, the speed limit on this road is 45 miles an hour. I says, where's the sign? He goes, oh, it's back there about 10 miles. I says, well, I didn't come on here at 10 miles. I come on here at 6 miles.
Oh, man. Yeah, well, that's a good one.
That was a $45 ticket. And, it was $45 because I guess I gave the guy some crap. But anyways, I had to pay that. And, of course, my father told me if I ever got stopped, he'd yank my license from me. So I tried to do it under where nobody knew anything about it. I mean, went down to the courthouse, and I gave him the ticket, and I gave him the money and everything. I said, don't publish this in the newspaper.
Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I sold my wild oats when I was back in high school. I had a Mustang 66 back. I used to find myself out on the quarter-mile back roads, drag racing and racing around, and so I did all my fast driving and getting stopped, and then I just reversed the order and I did the stopping.
Man, they should have done
I still got to drive fast.
They should have done a background check on you before they made you a policeman.
Yeah, but I know what they were doing.
Yeah.
Been there. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I suppose it's after 11 o'clock here. I'm going to call it a
night. Good night to y'all.
Mm-hmm.
And Mark P, we'll see you in Dayton. I know you're going to be there. So.
Yeah. Now, Bill, you know Mark P, don't you? Or do you know him?
Oh, is that this guy in the radio? I mean, in the room?
Yeah, Mark P. Do you know him personally?
No.
Well, he was our next door neighbor outside for several years, and always helped us with a little bit of internet out there, or maybe a generator. That's Mark, and he works for he does IT stuff for Kettering schools there.
Well, Mark, no, what I'm saying is, was he next to you when you were next to us, or is this when you all moved down by the bill?
No, we moved. I think we moved twice, if I'm not mistaken. I think once we moved somewhere in the center out there. I think he was with us, but when we moved on down close to that center road that went to the back door, he was next to us there.
Yeah. Good night, guys.
All right. Good night. We'll see you.
Good night, Mike.
Anyway, Mark is my Mark P is my spy up there at Kettering. He goes out to the fairgrounds and checks stuff out for us.
Ah. So that means you're going to have to bring him a special deal there.
Yeah. He used to bring a RV and park it right outside the east end there of Hamvention, and he would stay in it that weekend. And he would have a tent out there next to us, but this year they're going to bring the RV out there. I mean, they live there locally anyway. Mark says, trying to get away from the water.
Water.
I guess, I don't know. I don't know if that was the first place he was at or the last place, but he said they're trying to get away from the water.
Well, so I'm coming in on Wednesday. I should be there by noontime. So wait a minute. No, I should be there by 10:30. So if I drive like hell down 75, I should be able to get to the fairgrounds and get my tickets before it's time for them to close.
Okay, cool.
Well, it's either that or go to Mendelssohn's, but I don't know if Mendelssohn's still going to have tickets.
Have you ever been to the old Mendelssohn's there downtown in Dayton?
Well, this is the one on First Street?
I guess it's on First, yeah.
Yeah, well, no, I called them the other day, and I asked them, I said, do you have tickets? And they said, yeah. I said, well, how many you got? I was just trying to figure out, how soon they were going to run out.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think maybe I'll send Keith $50 and ask him to buy the.
Well, yeah. Mendelssohn's, they always had the big tent. They always had stuff for sale, and I mean, one time I bought 5 220 radios, brand new in a box for $100 a piece, and we couldn't modify them. They were proprietary or something, and I ended up selling them for I think about $75 a piece. Just get rid of them, But then I'd always go up there, I build a lot of things. I'd always get a lot of screws and bolts and washers and stuff. They always had tons of that out there. But they never, ever had any nuts that fit the screws. Ever. and I've got like 25 pounds of screws here that, that I don't have the nuts to fit it. But anyway, we went down to their office or their store there on 1st Street. And a year or two, and took the old elevator. The elevator's like a 1920 elevator. You get in and the thing's closed and goes
shakes
up.
The hell going up.
Yeah, but we looked at everything. The big warehouse, everything in here for sale. I mean, whatever you want, there's something in there. And we went all over that warehouse, different floors and looked, but I don't know. It's kind of neat to look around. I guess if you need something, you might find it here. Yeah,
well, I look at their website. I mean, I was really impressed with all the stuff that they have there. I mean, it's a clearance house there. I'm saying to myself, Lord have mercy. I mean,
Yeah, Mark's saying there's also a surplus in Midwest surplus in Fairborn. Now, Fairborn's, isn't that kind of a suburb of Dayton?
Well, it's north.
Yeah.
It's north of the city. They're going towards. Let me think.
Yeah, he said it's not very organized. I like looking at junk like this.
It's after 70, so I mean, I remember that.
I like looking at junk like it. I like old stuff that I can put back to use.
That's cool. Well, I'll let you go get your peanut butter sandwich.
I'm just thinking that it's after 10 o'clock, time for peanut butter sandwich. I'm going to watch some TV, might stay up late. Who knows what I'm going to do tonight. But
you enjoy.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right, we'll see you later, Bill. 7-3 to you.
Take care.
All right, good night. And
good night, Mark.
Good night to Mark. All right, so let's see what's going on here. Well, we can always go back to the space station here and do a little of this tonight before we get our peanut butter sandwich. All right, so we've done that. Now let's see what else we can do. Oh, we can get the rubber chicken. We can do the rubber chicken. Let's see. Play with the rubber chicken a little bit here. Let's see. Oh, and guys, we've got a new airplane for Amateur Radio Roundtable. Here I am. There I am in our new airplane. Boy, we really love this airplane. We're really fixing it up neat inside. Here's our astronaut friend. I'm thinking he sent a tweet back to us today saying he's going to try to be there with us again this year. So this will be the 4th year that our friend Colonel Wheelock from the commander of the International Space Station is back with us again at Dayton. Come by and see him, get your picture made with him, and that'd be cool. Let's see. Uh-oh, what's going on here? Okay. All right. Well, Kurt, the show was Tom tonight. It was not Tom and Kathy. Kathy's not here. Kathy went to their sewing, their Dayton equivalent of sewing. She went to Paducah, Kentucky today. 50,000 people are going to be there. So she's going to be there 2 days. It's a sewing convention up in Paducah, Kentucky. So I did the show all by myself tonight, and it went okay. I don't think I made any real big mistakes. All right, guys, I'm fixing to pull the plug here. Yeah, I need to close the window before takeoff. Okay. All right, back in the ham shack now. We'll see you guys later. See you next week. 73. Mark P. Do some more spying. Get me some info. We'll see.